Chapter 1: The Power of Your Voice. Imagine this for a moment. You walk into a room full of people. No one knows your title, your background, or your experience. But the instant you begin to speak, the energy shifts. Heads turn. People lean forward. They pay attention, not because of a badge on your chest, but because of the undeniable authority in your voice. That is the first and most overlooked truth of leadership. Before people follow your vision, your strategy, or your intelligence, they respond to your voice. Think about the leaders who have changed history. Martin Luther King Jr., Winston Churchill, Nelson Mandela, Malala Yousafzai. They didn't just communicate information. They used their voices to stir emotion, to inspire hope, and to move people into action. A leader's voice is not just sound. It is power, energy, and influence made audible. Now, here's the key. This power is not reserved for a chosen few. You, too, can develop a voice that commands respect and ignites inspiration. But first, you must understand what makes a voice powerful in the first place. The energy behind your words. A powerful voice does not come from shouting or speaking loudly. It comes from conviction. If you believe in what you are saying, your voice carries that belief naturally. Think about the last time you told someone about something you were truly passionate about, maybe a favorite book, a trip, or a dream you had. Did you notice how your voice became animated, your tone more engaging, your pace natural? That's because passion fuels presence. Leaders talk about things that matter. And when they do, their voices align with their inner energy. The listener feels that alignment, and it becomes contagious. Tone over words. Research has shown that when people judge whether to trust or follow someone, tone of voice often matters more than the actual words spoken. A warm, confident tone tells people, "I know where I'm going, and I'll take you with me." On the other hand, a hesitant, rushed, or monotone voice makes even brilliant ideas sound unconvincing. Great leaders vary their tone. They know when to soften it to create intimacy and when to strengthen it to show authority. They treat tone like a painter treats color, choosing shades and contrasts deliberately. Pauses, the leader's secret weapon. One of the greatest mistakes in communication is rushing. Leaders understand that silence can be more powerful than sound. A pause before delivering a key message creates anticipation. A pause after a powerful statement gives people time to absorb it. Think of a pause as bold punctuation. Without it, your message becomes a blur. With it, your words land like arrows. Voice and emotional connection. A leader's voice must carry not only confidence but also empathy. People follow leaders who sound human, not mechanical. Warmth in your tone can reassure a nervous team. Firmness can steady a group in crisis. Excitement can motivate people to believe in a vision bigger than themselves. The voice is the bridge between logic and emotion. Use it wisely, and you connect hearts to minds. Practical exercises to strengthen your voice. Record yourself daily. Speak for 1 minute about something that matters to you. Listen back. Are you rushing? Do you sound flat? Adjust. Practice controlled breathing. Strong voices come from controlled breath. Inhale deeply, speak on your breath, not against it. Mark your pauses. Next time you prepare to speak, actually write down where you will pause. Treat silence as part of your speech. Read aloud with emotion. Choose a paragraph from a speech or book and read it with exaggerated passion. Train your voice to carry energy. These small practices compound over time, shaping your voice into one that people naturally want to follow. The leadership voice in action. Picture a leader addressing a team during a crisis. If they speak in a shaky, unsure tone, panic spreads. If they speak too casually, people feel dismissed. But if they speak with steady confidence, calm energy, and reassuring authority, the team aligns. The same words in different voices can either divide or unite. This is the power of your voice. It is not about being the loudest in the room, it's about being the clearest, the most certain, and the most connected. So here is your challenge. Today, do not wait for a stage, a boardroom, or a crowd. Practice your leadership voice in small moments. When you greet someone, let your tone be warm and confident. When you share an idea, deliver it with conviction. When you speak, pause long enough for your words to sink in. Remember, your voice is your instrument of influence. Use it carelessly, and it's background noise. Use it deliberately, and it becomes the sound of leadership. The journey has just begun. In the next chapter, we'll explore the words themselves. The building blocks of leadership speech, and how to transform ordinary language into messages that inspire action. But before moving forward, I want you to take one small step. Record yourself today. Listen to your own voice. Then, ask yourself, would I follow this person? If not, keep practicing until the answer is yes. Because when your voice changes, your leadership begins. Chapter 2: Words that inspire, not just inform. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone's words stayed with you long after the conversation ended? Maybe it was a teacher who told you, "I believe in you." Maybe it was a friend who said just the right thing at the right time. Or maybe it was a leader who painted a picture of a future you couldn't stop imagining. That's the magic of words. They do more than carry information, they carry energy, vision, and belief. And here's the truth, leaders don't simply tell people what to do. They inspire people to act. Anyone can issue instructions. Leaders use words to spark imagination, create hope, and make action feel meaningful. The difference between informing and inspiring. Imagine two leaders announcing the same plan. One says, "Starting next month, we will increase sales by 10%. Everyone should focus on working harder." The other says, "Starting next month, we're aiming for a 10% sales increase." That's not just a number, it's proof that we're growing, proof that we're building something stronger together. Every call you make, every connection you build brings us closer to that vision. Both leaders deliver the same information. But one gives a dry instruction, while the other transforms it into a story of purpose. Which would you rather follow? Leaders know that people don't just need tasks. They need meaning. Words make that meaning real. The power of simplicity. One of the greatest myths about leadership communication is that you need big, complicated words. In reality, the most inspiring leaders use simple, clear language. Think about John F. Kennedy's famous words. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Simple words, powerful message. Complexity confuses. Simplicity inspires. Your goal is not to sound smart, it's to be understood and remembered. Storytelling, the leader's secret weapon. Facts tell, but stories sell. People don't remember endless lists of data. They remember stories that make them feel. When you tell a story, you give your audience a chance to see themselves inside the narrative. You make them part of something larger. That's why great leaders almost always weave stories into their speeches, stories of struggle, of triumph, of possibility. Here's an exercise. Next time you need to explain a goal, ask yourself, what story can bring this to life? Maybe it's a customer who benefited from your work. Maybe it's your own personal journey. Maybe it's a small win that shows what's possible on a larger scale. A leader who tells stories connects the head and the heart in a way that numbers alone never can. Metaphors, painting pictures with words. Another powerful leadership tool is the metaphor. When Winston Churchill said Britain would fight on the beaches, fight on the landing grounds, he wasn't describing a literal battlefield for every citizen. He was painting a picture of resilience. Metaphors turn abstract ideas into images people can see and feel. If you want to talk about growth, you might compare it to a seed becoming a tree. If you want to talk about resilience, you might compare it to steel forged in fire. Great leaders are artists with their words, painting visions people can walk into. Practical exercises to inspire with words. Rewrite instructions into inspiration. Take one ordinary directive, like finish this project by Friday, and reframe it. Let's deliver this by Friday so we can prove what's possible when we push ourselves together. Collect stories. Keep a notebook of small stories, personal or from others, that illustrate values like persistence, teamwork, or courage. Use them in your communication. Practice short speeches. In under 60 seconds, explain a goal or idea in a way that inspires. Focus on simplicity, clarity, and passion. Use the rule of 3. People remember things in threes. We stand for honesty, courage, and growth lands better than a long, scattered list. The leadership voice meets the leadership word. In Chapter 1, we explored the sound of your voice. In this chapter, we've explored the power of your words. When voice and words meet, something incredible happens. Your message doesn't just enter people's ears, it enters their hearts. Think about it this way. Your voice is the vehicle, but your words are the passengers. If the passengers are uninspiring, the ride is forgettable. But if your passengers carry hope, vision, and meaning, then people never forget the journey. So here's your challenge. Today, transform one ordinary sentence into an inspiring one. Instead of saying, "We need to finish this work," say, "When we finish this work, we'll prove what we're capable of." Instead of saying, "I want you to try harder," say, "I know you have more inside you, and I can't wait to see it." Words matter. Words shape belief. Words can change the entire direction of a team, an organization, even a life. And in the next chapter, we'll look at something just as powerful: presence before words. Because before you even open your mouth, people are already deciding whether to listen. But for now, your mission is clear: speak not only to inform, but to inspire. Because leaders don't just tell people what to do, they make people want to do it. Chapter 3: Presence Before Words. Picture this: a leader steps onto a stage in front of hundreds of people. They haven't said a single word yet. But the audience is already forming an opinion. Some are leaning in, curious. Others are folding their arms, skeptical. All of this is happening before a single sentence leaves the leader's lips. Why? Because presence speaks louder than words. Your presence is the unspoken language of leadership. It's how you enter a room, how you carry yourself, and how you hold silence. Long before people hear your ideas, they experience you. Presence, the silent leader. Presence is not about being the tallest, loudest, or most glamorous person in the room. It's about the quiet confidence that says, "I belong here, and I'm ready to lead." Think of Nelson Mandela. He didn't need to shout to command attention. His posture, his calm gaze, his measured movements, all signaled strength and authority. His presence was powerful because it was grounded. Leadership presence is not arrogance. It's assurance. It's not showmanship. It's authenticity. The first impression effect. Science tells us people form an impression within 7 seconds of meeting you. 7 seconds. That means before you've explained your ideas, your body language has already done the talking. Stand slouched, avoid eye contact, shuffle nervously, and your words will fight an uphill battle. Stand tall, make steady eye contact, move with purpose, and people will be ready to listen. It's not fair, but it's true. How you look and move often shapes how people hear your words. A leader understands this and uses presence as a foundation for influence. The 3 pillars of presence. Posture, straight spine, shoulders back, feet grounded. A leader's posture radiates stability. Eye contact, not a stare, not a glance, but a steady connection. Eye contact says, "I see you, and you can trust me." Stillness, nervous fidgeting distracts. Stillness communicates calm control. When you combine these 3, you project authority without saying a word. The power of pausing. In Chapter 1, we discussed pauses in your voice. But presence also requires pauses in your body. Leaders don't rush into speech. They pause, breathe, and then begin. This signals that what follows is worth listening to. A pause before speaking is like opening a door slowly instead of kicking it down. It builds anticipation and respect. Body language is a message. Your gestures, expressions, and even how you sit in a chair are all part of your leadership communication. Crossing arms might signal defensiveness. Leaning too far back might signal disinterest. Leaders use gestures deliberately. They open their palms to show honesty. They lean forward to show engagement. They smile when warmth is needed. They let their body reinforce, not contradict, their words. Presence in virtual spaces. In today's world, presence isn't just physical, it's digital. Even on a video call, people feel your presence. Do you show up prepared, camera on, posture alert? Or do you slump in your chair, eyes drifting, voice dull? Leadership presence transcends platforms. Whether on stage or on Zoom, your presence sets the tone. Practical exercises to build presence. The mirror drill. Stand in front of a mirror. Practice greeting yourself with posture, eye contact, and a calm smile. Notice how you feel different when you adjust your stance. The 10-second pause. Before speaking in any important setting, pause for 10 seconds. Breathe. Own the silence. Then begin. Record your body language. Record a short video of yourself speaking. Watch not for words, but for posture, gestures, and eye contact. Adjust what feels weak. Power pose reset. Before a meeting, stand in a powerful stance, feet apart, shoulders open, for 2 minutes. Science shows this boosts confidence. Presence and authenticity. One warning: presence is not about pretending to be someone else. It's about amplifying your best self. People can sense fake confidence instantly. The goal is not to perform leadership but to embody it. That means grounding yourself in authenticity. If you are naturally calm, don't force over-the-top energy. If you are naturally enthusiastic, don't suppress it. Presence is strongest when it feels real. Presence before words. Remember this: people decide whether to listen to you before you speak. Presence earns you the right to be heard. It's like music. The audience listens not just to the notes, but to the silence before the notes. That silence, that presence, creates expectation. When you walk into a room with presence, you've already said something: I am here, I am ready, and I am worth listening to. So here's your challenge. Today, enter one room, any room, as if you already belong at the head of the table. Stand taller. Breathe slower. Look people in the eye. Say less, but let your presence say more. Practice this every day, even in small moments: walking into a coffee shop, joining a video call, greeting a friend. Make your presence deliberate, not accidental. Because before words can inspire, presence must invite them in. In the next chapter, we'll explore the art of listening like a leader. Because true leadership isn't about speaking all the time. It's about hearing deeply, then speaking with impact. But for now, remember this: leaders don't just talk differently, they arrive differently. And that difference can change everything. Chapter 4: Listening like a Leader. Here's a paradox most people miss: the best leaders are not the best talkers, they are the best listeners. Think about it. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who made you feel like the only person in the world? They weren't interrupting, they weren't checking their phone, and they weren't rushing you. They were simply present, listening with full attention. That moment felt powerful, didn't it? That's the secret of leadership listening. It's not passive. It's not waiting for your turn to speak. It's an active, intentional skill that makes people feel heard, valued, and understood. And when people feel understood, they are far more willing to follow. Why listening is leadership. Leaders who listen gain trust. They learn what others truly think and feel. They discover hidden problems and unspoken ideas. They connect on a deeper level. On the other hand, leaders who only talk create distance. They may sound impressive, but they miss the heartbeat of their people. And a leader out of touch is a leader on borrowed time. The 3 levels of listening. There are 3 levels of listening, but only one that builds real leadership. Listening to reply, this is the weakest form. You're not truly listening, you're preparing your comeback. Most people live here. Listening to understand better. Here, you focus on the words and meaning, trying to grasp the message. Listening to connect, the highest level. You listen not just to words, but to emotions, tone, and what's left unsaid. You listen to make the other person feel seen and respected. True leaders master level 3. Listening as respect. Listening is a form of respect. When you let someone finish their thought, when you don't cut them off, when you acknowledge their point, you're sending a powerful message: you matter. And people who feel they matter will give you their best. The leader's questions. Great leaders don't just listen quietly, they ask powerful questions that open doors. Instead of, "Are you okay with this?" they ask, "How do you really feel about this?" Instead of, "Do you have any ideas?" they ask, "What would you do if you were in charge?" Questions like these make people feel trusted. They invite deeper thinking. They turn conversations into collaborations. The power of silence. Silence is part of listening. When someone pauses, don't rush to fill the space. Let the silence breathe. Often, the most important truths come after a pause, when the speaker feels safe enough to continue. Leaders who master silence create room for honesty. Active listening techniques. Here are some practical tools to sharpen your leadership listening. Paraphrase back, say, "So what I'm hearing is," this shows you're paying attention and confirms understanding. Acknowledge emotion, I can hear the frustration in your voice. This validates their feelings. Eliminate distractions, when listening, put the phone down, close the laptop, and give your full attention. Presence is part of listening. Lean in, literally. A slight forward lean shows interest and engagement. Listening in difficult conversations. When tensions run high, the temptation is to talk more, defend more, argue more. But leaders know that in conflict, listening is often the key to resolution. By letting the other person fully express themselves, you lower defenses. By repeating back their concerns, you build trust. Only then can your words land with impact. The listening gap. Many leaders believe they listen more than they actually do. But if you constantly interrupt, finish people's sentences, or give advice before they've finished speaking, you're not listening, you're managing. True listening is patient. It allows others to fully release their thoughts before offering yours. So here's your challenge. Today, in your next conversation, practice listening at level 3. Don't just hear words, listen for feelings, intentions, and what's not being said. Ask one powerful question that opens the door to deeper truth. Then, paraphrase what you heard to confirm understanding. Notice how people respond. Notice how respect grows. Because leadership isn't about talking more, it's about talking better. And the foundation of talking better is listening deeply. In the next chapter, we'll explore one of the toughest but most important areas of leadership communication: leading through difficult conversations. Because it's easy to talk like a leader when everything is smooth. The real test is when the words are hard. But for now, remember this: leaders don't listen to reply. They listen to connect. And that connection is the bridge to influence. Chapter 5: Leading Through Difficult Conversations. Here's the truth about leadership that few people like to admit. Your real strength isn't tested when everything is smooth and easy. It's tested when words are hardest to say. Think about it. Anyone can inspire when spirits are high, when the team is winning, when the atmosphere is light. But true leadership shines in those moments when you must deliver hard news, address conflict, or confront uncomfortable truths. This is where many leaders fail. They either avoid the conversation altogether, or they bulldoze through it with bluntness that damages relationships. Great leaders find the balance. They speak truth with courage, but also with empathy. Why difficult conversations matter. Avoiding hard conversations doesn't protect people, it confuses them. Silence creates tension. Lack of clarity creates mistrust. On the other hand, facing tough conversations directly builds respect, even if people don't like what they hear. Difficult conversations are leadership opportunities. They show whether you can balance honesty with humanity, direction with compassion. The 3 common mistakes leaders make. Avoidance, hoping the problem will disappear. It doesn't. It usually grows. Aggression, speaking with harshness or blame that shuts people down. Ambiguity, dancing around the truth so much that people leave confused. Each of these weakens trust. The antidote is clear, calm, and compassionate communication. The framework for tough conversations. Great leaders use a simple but powerful framework when facing difficult dialogue. Prepare with clarity, know your key message before entering. Vagueness breeds confusion. Start with empathy, acknowledge the person's feelings, efforts, or value. Deliver the truth, speak the hard message directly, without sugarcoating. Respect means honesty. Offer a path forward, don't just state the problem. Point to possibilities, actions, or support. For example, instead of saying, "You're underperforming and this can't continue," a leader might say, "I value the effort you've been putting in, but your results are not meeting expectations. Let's talk about what support you need and what changes we can make so you can succeed." The difference is huge. One feels like judgment. The other feels like partnership. Emotional control. The biggest danger in difficult conversations is emotion taking over. Anger, frustration, or defensiveness can derail everything. Leaders must master their emotions. That means pausing before reacting, breathing before speaking, and choosing words deliberately. Calmness communicates control. If you stay grounded, others will mirror your energy. Listening during conflict. Remember Chapter 4, Listening is Leadership. This is especially true in conflict. When people feel upset, they don't want instant solutions, they want to be heard. Leaders listen fully before responding. Sometimes, just being heard diffuses half the tension. Practical tools for difficult conversations. Use I statements. Say, "I've noticed deadlines being missed," not "you always miss deadlines." This avoids blame and focuses on behavior. Stay specific. Vague feedback creates defensiveness. Specific examples keep the conversation factual. Acknowledge emotions. If someone is upset, say, "I can see this is frustrating." This diffuses resistance. End with next steps. Always leave the conversation with clarity about what happens next. The courage to confront. Some leaders convince themselves they are being kind by avoiding hard truths. But avoiding truth is not kindness, it's negligence. Imagine a doctor refusing to tell a patient about an illness because they don't want to upset them. That's not compassion, that's cruelty disguised as comfort. Leaders must have the courage to say what needs to be said, because clarity is a gift. Even when truth stings, it builds trust in the long run. The respect you earn. Here's the beautiful paradox. People may not enjoy hearing hard truths, but they will respect you for saying them with honesty and care. Over time, that respect grows into loyalty. Think about the best leaders in your life. Chances are, they weren't the ones who avoided hard talks. They were the ones who looked you in the eye, told you the truth, and stood beside you as you worked through it. So here's your challenge. Identify one conversation you've been avoiding. It might be with a colleague, a friend, or even yourself. Prepare with clarity. Approach with empathy. Deliver the truth with respect. And most importantly, end with a path forward. Step into that conversation instead of running from it. Because leadership is not about comfort, it's about courage. In the next chapter, we'll shift from difficulty to vision. We'll explore how leaders speak about the future in a way that makes others want to follow, speaking with vision and authority. But until then, remember this. Your leadership is not measured by how well you talk when it's easy. It's measured by how courageously you speak when it's hard. Chapter 7. The Leader's Voice in Action, Inspiring Change. Imagine standing before a group of people who look to you for guidance, clarity, and hope. The words you choose, the tone you deliver, and the conviction behind your message can ignite action or leave the room silent. This is the true test of talking like a leader, not just sounding confident, but inspiring change through your voice. Great leaders are not remembered only for what they did, but for how they made others feel through their words. Think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s timeless "I Have a Dream" speech, or Winston Churchill's wartime addresses. Their voices carried a weight far beyond information. They carried vision, courage, and belief. The good news is that this same power lives within you. It begins when you stop speaking just to fill silence and start speaking to move people. So how do you do this? First, you must always link your message to something bigger than yourself. When you speak about goals, connect them to values, honesty, progress, growth, unity. People don't follow a plan, they follow a purpose. And your role as a leader is to give that purpose a voice. Second, your delivery must be human. Leaders don't inspire by sounding like machines spitting out instructions. They inspire by sounding authentic. Share your struggles, your lessons, and your vision with sincerity. A leader's words are powerful not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Third, master the rhythm of leadership speech. Speak with pauses. Allow your message to breathe. When you pause, your audience reflects. When you emphasize key words, you plant ideas deep in their memory. And when you close with certainty, you leave no doubt about the direction forward. Finally, remember that every word carries energy. When you talk like a leader, you are either lifting people higher or leaving them where they are. Choose to lift. Choose to make your voice a source of motivation, clarity, and unity. Conclusion: your leadership voice awaits. Congratulations, you've reached the end of how to talk like a leader. But this isn't really the end, it's the beginning of your journey. You now hold the tools to transform your communication, the ability to build trust, to listen deeply, to use authority without arrogance, to adapt to any audience, and to speak with confidence and clarity. But knowledge without practice is like a locked treasure chest. You must use what you've learned. Starting today, pay attention to your words, your tone, your presence. Every conversation is an opportunity to lead. Every question is an opportunity to inspire. Every challenge is an opportunity to prove that leadership is not about titles, it's about communication. Ask yourself, who do I want to inspire today? How can my words bring out the best in others? What impact will my leadership voice create? Talking like a leader is not about pretending to be someone else, it's about becoming the best version of yourself and sharing that vision with others. You don't need a stage or a microphone. You only need the courage to speak with authenticity and purpose. So go forward. Use your voice to lift others, to guide them, and to remind them of what's possible. Speak not just to be heard, but to be remembered. Speak not just to lead, but to inspire. Because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more leaders. And now, the next one could be you. If this audiobook has inspired you, take the next step. Practice one leadership principle every day, whether it's listening more, speaking with clarity, or inspiring others with your vision. Share this audiobook with someone who wants to grow as a leader. And most importantly, commit to using your words to build, not break, to inspire, not discourage, to lead, not follow. Your voice is powerful. Use it well. Talk like a leader.